This looks pretty cool. They made a freaking plasma cannon, and then they fired it. We actually get to see what real plasma looks like a real cannon made that fires plasma. This is the future of warfare. I think that's a scientist.
Have you ever wanted to throw a lightning bolt?
I love this person. He made a plasma cannon. That means you are the coolest person I know of.
Something? Well, as it turns out, it's technically quite possible to do. Today we're going to fire this directed energy device that I built a while back.
Directed energy device. Let's fire this force multiplier. I mean, directed energy device.
I call it the Lorentz cannon. The cannon is supported by a 240,000 volt pulse forming tower called a Marksbank, which delivers an electrical power pulse of several gigawatts to the 30 barrel.
You need a whole freaking battery. A giant battery to fire it.
On top. The gun then.
Okay, so we're not quite at the point where I can start going Fallout 4 yet. Fallout 4, Fallout 3, just like freaking like blasting it. Okay, got it. Okay. More like a turret.
A plasma channel through the air at current levels found in natural lightning and can direct this plasma channel towards any grounded target. Now you might be wondering, why would anyone...
The fact that he calls it a plasma channel, so does that mean that theoretically... Is it cutting through the air, or is it disintegrating the air molecules as it travels?
Build such a thing.
Is it pushing them out of the way, or disintegrating them as well?
When I lived at survival research labs, my task was to make electrical devices that could somehow interact with the machines. But these machines were often quite violent and unpredictable, and they were usually loaded with weapons and explosives.
Yeah. Wait, was he a part of the freaking the robot fights?
So how could you arm an electrical device to survive in such a hostile environment? The answer? Use pulsed power. And if that doesn't work, use more pulsed power. Now, capacitor banks are a cheap and cheerful way to blast objects with hundreds of megawatts, or shower large areas of machines with molten metal. But to blast an object with capacitors usually involves running very heavy cables. And
I'm assuming that, okay, so I think he's talking like special effects and pyrotechnics. Okay, I understand. For like Mythbuster and stuff, because yeah, a lot of the times you're not going to get a very satisfying spark on stuff, so they kind of like play it up.
A fast and mobile machine wouldn't be very practical at all. So I wondered, could you somehow direct a lightning bolt at a hostile machine instead? I'd read about lightning researchers who could direct lightning bolts to the ground by firing rockets trailing a thin wire. But how can a hair-thin wire possibly carry tens of thousands of amps? This is where the Lorentz force comes to the rescue. When you pass current through a wire, a magnetic field forms around it. Lorentz found that this field produces a force that compresses the conductor, which increases with the square of the current. Now normally, if you tried to pass 10,000 amps through a thin wire,
so you're basically compressing all that energy within the magnetic field. So even though what the actual beam is just this little wire, it's actually technically a wire and an invisible ginormous magnetic field that's compressing all that energy as well.
It would instantly vaporize. But if the current rises fast enough, the Lorentz force grows faster than the explosive force, and it contains the hot plasma into a super dense channel.
So you're quite literally just feeding an explosion more juice in hopes that it doesn't explode and just continues to travel further. That's amazing.
Great
science.
But there's a catch. In order to get the current to rise that fast, you need to hit it with a rather large voltage pulse.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Basically, more power than an explosion.
And a fast one to boot. Now this is easy for a storm cloud to do, since it has hundreds of millions of volts available. But I wondered, could mere mortals pull off such a feat? As luck would have it, SRL had recently rescued a bunch of 20,000 volt capacitors from the scrapyard. But some quick calculations revealed that we needed over 120,000 volts to produce a fast...
Yeah, I'm not going to understand any of the stuff you're showing me right now. I just know that means big boom.
Fast enough edge.
Oh, that part says flamethrower. I like that part. I like that word.
So to get 100
kinetic, I recognize kinetic.
volts out of 20,000
That's also
volt
another
caps,
science word.
I borrowed the Marksbank approach used to power the Z machine. Now a Marksbank is a clever way to multiply voltage by almost any amount. Here's how it works. First, all of the caps get charged in parallel to 20,000 volts through the liquid ballast tubes. Then an array of spark gaps fires them in series, effectively multiplying the original voltage by the number of levels. So, I started on the ballast tubes. Then an array of spark gaps fires them in series,
Okay, so theoretically you'd have like each one of these chambers is 20,000 volts. Then fires 100,000 volts in quick. Got it. Okay. I got it. Kind of like a rail cannon.
effectively multiplying the original voltage by the number of levels. So, I started on the Marksbank design and stacked all of the 20,000 volt caps that we had into an 8-foot high Marksbank weighing 4,000 pounds.
Damn.
Then, Tim Wallington and I started on the plasma gun itself, which featured a heavy brass front striker plate for the high current plasma channel, and 30 barrels for good measure, which seemed enough for a full SRL show. For acquiring targets on the killing floor, we gave
30 barrels, but why 30 barrels exactly? And are you is the barrel just there for the magnetic field? Or are the barrels there because you're actually like channeling? Because I would assume the actual channel is just that middle field, right? The middle beam. Is this just basically the equivalent of making a bunch of magnetic fields?
gave the cannon actuators for both panning and tilting, and an aiming laser located in the central tube.
Okay, no. So the central tube is just an aiming laser. The actual plasma is coming out of the 30 tubes. Okay, but like you said though, okay, I'm assuming it's all to make one giant current then.
Assembled all of the cannon parts in the SRL yard and tried some test shots. It worked. And it trashed my black and white Vidicon camera in the process.
Oh,
But
damn!
at full capacitor voltage, the gun could only create a stable plasma channel about 15 feet long. So, of
Damn!
course, we kept turning the voltage up, increasing the range, but unfortunately, the scrapyard caps were already at their end of life, and stressing them to 120% quickly resulted in many violent capacitor failures. So, we needed to find
Of course. It's always gonna be like, yeah, it's a lot of power to hold on to.
new and better caps, and lots of them. But turns out they weren't cheap, and even used, just one of these energy storage caps cost more than my pickup.
Damn! A third of a century later.
Well, it took me a minute to find another set of capacitors, but I finally had the good fortune to come across these.
I wonder if the prices have reduced since then. How come I be seeing people like on TikTok shorts like they be making their own capacitors like by hand out of recycled stuff, like in India, like with no shoes on. Like how come you don't buy some of those?
Here in the future, there are much beefier third-generation capacitors available, allowing more than double the drive voltage of the old bank, and peak currents well into the range of lightning strikes. So let's pick up where we left off.
Okay, so
The
theoretically we absolutely have like lightning strike levels of damage here.
Test back then yielded a 25-foot range, but by overloading the old caps to 120,000 volts. Today, let's see if we can reach 35 feet with 150,000 volts. I'll be operating the cannon
It almost has the effective range. Wait, how much did he say? 35 feet?
and the Marksbank from the relative 20,000 volts. Today, let's see if we can reach 35 feet with
What does Shoddy have? 40, 45?
150,000 volts. I'll be
I
operating
think
the
in video game, IRL I think it's probably way more effective further
cannon
out.
and the Marksbank from the relative safety of the operator's console here, but with heavy eye and ear protection nonetheless. So first we acquire the target, then start charging the Marksbank. The top scale on this high voltage divider is calibrated to show
You know what? I love it. I love everything about it. This sounds like what it should sound like when you activate a plasma cannon.
start
Please.
charging the Marksbank.
Ooh. You saw how he like he paused after. Look at this. You need to see his finger. Look how he pauses, because you know it's satisfying. Look how satisfying that is. You gotta see. You gotta see.
First, we acquire the target.
This is like real monkey brain, like man stuff right now. Look,
Start
look, look, look,
charging
look.
the Marks tank.
Damn it! No, I got in the way. I got in the way. Alright, hold on. I'll just use the freaking.
So first, we acquire the target.
Look at this. 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 Look how satisfying
Then
that must
start
be.
charging the Marks tank.
Oh yeah. That's gotta be satisfying. You know we all want to press the button and flip the switches. Don't lie.
The top scale on this high voltage divider is calibrated to show the final
I want to
output
flip the
voltage.
switches.
150,000 volts is right about here. Okay,
you
the
passed
tank
it.
is charged and ready to fire. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, it's more basic than I thought it'd be. 8 times as slow. It still took you gotta slow it down a bit further.
I just hope the
Nah, y'all gotta collaborate with the slow-mo guys.
neighbors aren't too upset.
I mean, it's actual thunder.
Looks like I need to adjust the aim compensator upwards a bit.
Yeah, you hit it like way lower than it was.
At this energy, the shockwave
So basically, you fire that little capacitor thing, and when it hits them, BAM! Explosive force from me to you.
easily rips the target away and leaves a bit of a flame even. You can definitely tell that a stable plasma channel formed since it blew a hole in the plywood and the peak current reached tens of thousands of amperes. Flame even. You can
It fully
definitely
blew a hole
tell
through
that a
it?
stable plasma channel formed
Oh, it did! Damn!
since it blew a hole in the plywood and the peak current reached tens of thousands of amperes.
No, it's better. It's a plasma cannon. Check it out. It fires a capacitor, and when the capacitor, like, hits the target, the cannon, like, makes the connection.
Ready to fire. 3, 2, 1.
Wait for the slow-mo. Wait for the slow-mo, Chaos. You see the capacitor being launched? As soon as it touches the target, bam! All the explosive energy fires off.
Oh, that familiar shockwave.
But you do need to
I just
have
hope
like
the
a direct
neighbors aren't
connection,
too upset.
apparently. Insane.
At this energy, the shockwave easily rips the target away and leaves a bit of a flame even. You can definitely tell that a stable plasma channel formed since it blew a hole in the plywood and the peak current reached tens of thousands of amperes.
So bare minimum, you hide behind plywood, I'm freaking hitting you still. Or at least I'm
And the-
freaking melting a little bit of your armor off.
Marks bank completely
I'm gonna hit your
discharged its energy,
plates. You're gonna have to replate.
and it was loud as hell. The echo off those buildings about a half mile from here kind of sounded like distant thunder.
Well, yeah, because you made actual thunder. You basically created real thunder. Artificial, right?
Now
Still.
let's try doubling the energy delivered to the target.
It's so satisfying. Oh, so good.
210,000
That's my kind of
volts is
ASMR.
about double the energy of 150,000.
But you can make it go
volts. Our
freaking
meter
stronger.
here only goes to 200,000, but it'll still give us a good estimate. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, that was much better aim. And it lit the freaking
It
target
looks
on
like
fire.
doubling the energy had an effect.
Yeah, it was way more destructive. Way more destructive. Much more explosive force. Rather than like burning and pushing the freaking just burning and pushing the target, it shredded it completely. I mean, you're literally firing pure explosive energy. Not quite what we see in Fallout, is it? Not with the green goo.
As
Like
we
it's
can
fired.
see, the target has now achieved a high state of division. But how did this happen? We can discover why by slowing down the video about 6,000 times. With double the energy, the shockwave has now gone supersonic, with wooden shrapnel departing at about 1,200 feet per second.
Freaking just blew a hole into the freaking plywood.
The target simply can't move out of the way in time.
Yeah.
And is shredded to bits.
Well, I feel so validated because that's what I said, and the scientist said it too. That's why I know explosions.
Finally, how effective is the plasma cannon against electronics hidden inside hostile machines? This TV that I found in e-waste should provide a good indication. The cathode ray tube still lights up.
Stop. I love it. Sorry, it's because Fallout used the same exact, like, emergency broadcast message thing, so it's like, yeah.
Which will provide us with useful diagnostics.
This is not the Fallout one, I don't think. I think,
we're
might actually be, is that a real, I don't even know if the Fallout one's based on a real thing, but...
To fire with a full 210,000 volts.
But I think Fallout uses that exact same image to make theirs. 3, if it's not real.
2, 1...
I want to see what the inside of that looks like. What's the glass look like? Did it even shatter the glass? Oh, it exploded the backside! I thought that explosion came out the top of the freaking thing. Did it come out the top or did it, like, come out here?
The plasma channel didn't penetrate the front of the CRT, but simply went around it and connected directly with the deflection circuits inside. Those circuits then launched through the top of the television.
Oh. So it didn't actually break the glass. I was gonna say, yeah, it didn't look like it broke at all. But the backside did sure look like it freaking exploded or something.
Of the plasma channel connecting with the TV in slow motion. Note that at this speed, we can actually watch the electron beams scanning out the test pattern on the screen.
By the way, that is what's constantly being fired at your eyeballs, at your face, while you're watching those old TVs. I used to be a kid just watching Power Rangers on these things. Okay, so it made contact, but it didn't shatter the glass. Instead, the arc literally went directly in. It followed the path of least resistance. I mean, theoretically, that could theoretically work even better for, like, enemy electronics, right? Because, like, all you gotta do is touch the damn thing and let the plasma figure out the rest. It knows where to go.
The electronics hidden inside the TV were adversely affected by the plasma channel. So I was surprised.
Nah, son, that's like a One Piece Luffy, like, hockey punch, like, where he punches you, but the outside of you don't feel it, only your internals.
At just how fast the plasma cannon range scaled with increasing drive voltage, and how much explosive force the shockwave can deliver to a target. The data suggests that a plasma cannon with just a 30-foot-high Marks tower could achieve a quarter-mile range. That
quarter-mile range
would be a fun follow-up project indeed. But
yeah.
I'll have to save that one for after I win the lottery.
Imagine, very Michael Bay with the explosion. Oh, absolutely. Imagine just setting these up, like, in a zone where vehicles, and, like, you really don't want vehicles to get into. You know what I'm saying? Just freaking a car is driving, trying to break into the facility, and just BAM! Lightning! Just instantaneous lightning. That would be insane. Just take out your engine. Take out your electronics. I feel like he should try firing at a vehicle, at a car, a moving car, and see if it, like, theoretically, would a person inside, like, put a test dummy, of course. Theoretically, would the person inside still be safe? Because theoretically, I don't know how conductive, and I know a human being is very conductive, right? But how conductive is a human compared to a vehicle? Would it connect to the person, or would it connect to the car's like electronics and its engine? That's freaking crazy, dude. I love this kind of stuff. Oh, I'm gonna drop him a sub because he deserves to have a bigger number than what he's currently at. No matter what number he's at. Please go drop him a like, go drop him a sub. I'm gonna share the video on Discord. Go show us some support. We're all gonna turn into lava chicken? Yeah. We're gonna, as soon as the laser hits us, so we're gonna just become lava chicken. Mamacita. Yo, shout out to Jack Black. He's the only person who's bringing the Latino flavor into the zeitgeist, the public zeitgeist. Let's go, bro. Really had to drop that mamacita. You know what I'm saying? Love it. Thanks for hanging out. Like or dislike, comment, and subscribe, and become a Monodachi today. I live stream all day, Monday through Friday, so go say hi. That's all for now, monos. Goodbye, and thanks for swinging by. Salut.